Good afternoon, and thank you very much for allowing the time to join us today. My name is Charles Scott. Welcome to this month's Civil Designer Software Open Classroom webinar, the 77th in the Open Classroom webinar series. Today I'm going to be joined by Cameron Boyle for an advanced session demonstrating how to create an accurate 3D model of all existing infrastructure from as-built information derived from various sources. During Cameron's presentation today, please feel free to use the text chat service on your GoToWebinar app or webpage to ask us any questions you may have during his time. After today's webinar, we'll post a video copy of the event on our website in the webinar section for your further review. And by Monday, we will have posted the searchable FAQ videos created from this webinar in our website's FAQ section. So, Cameron, welcome back. It's been great working with you again. Please take it away.
Thank you, Charles. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. In today's webinar, I'm going to be demonstrating how to create a 3D model by importing an as-built survey of existing infrastructure. Once the survey has been imported, already the surveyed symbols can be activated to give the designer impressive graphical indication of what the survey represents. I'm going to show you the functionality I used to create this stormwater drain. We'll look at the roads, terrace platform, and dam creation functionality. I'll explain how to create this reserve boundary fence draped onto the ground surface. We'll look at creating a line from the draft expert and then create an auxiliary service of it so that you can model these pipes beneath the ground. And then we also need to think outside the box and use some advanced techniques in order to furnish your model. So we got lots of functionality to cover. I'm going to exit the project and then start another project from scratch. Go to File, New, and with any other project, I'm going to my survey mode, select File, Project Settings. Tick the Terrain option, specify where you want to create the file, let's call it Webinar. Enter to open. This particular project that I'm working with is based in Natal. So the central longitude there is 31 degrees east. Click on OK. Now that we know where in the world our project is situated, we can import the survey. Go to File, Import. Just taking advantage of the situation to show you that you have many different import options available to you. So if you do have a 3D drawing, you could convert the drawing entities and create a DTM of it. In this case, I'm going to import an ASCII YXZ single file. Select the correct file, so I'm going to double click. We're looking at a comma delimiter because our values are separated by commas. And then I've already gone and named the headers appropriately. And once I've done that, I save the settings as defaults. Take note that I'm already importing the triangulation information that the survey has already done for us. Click on Finish, check in that my coordinates are correct, and click on Yes to continue with the import. Remember that you can work with 255 different surfaces within a single Civil Designer project. Zooming in. Conventionally, this is what your project or survey would look like. Of course, you have the option to switch on the elevations and switch on the surveyed point names. Let's take it a bit further and then switch them both off for now. Go to my display settings, switch on the shading for surface 1, and now spend some time looking at the point symbols functionality. By default, this dialog information is blank. I'll show you how you go about utilizing this to give the designer the impressive graphical indication of what the survey represents. And then you turn on display point symbols, click on OK. You can see different symbols representing different surveyed points. If you'd like to view this in a 3D, we right click and select render view. Utilizing my different defined viewports, you can see that already we have things like communication towers, survey beacons, road reserve beacons. If we move on to another view, you can see this would represent a dam of some sorts. Over here you might have stormwater. So you get a good graphical overview of what your stormwater management would look like. Already I've got my curb inlets from what the surveyor has picked up. And here we're going to go and put in a railway. We'll also go and create a platform or terrace with the dam in this area over here. Taking note of the positions of your culverts beneath the road. Now going back to those point symbols, I'm going back to my display settings and I'm selecting point symbols. In my case, what I did was I saved these settings with my startup drawing, so it was already there. If you go down the list and you click on the down arrow, all of your visible surveyed points would be listed as an option to choose from. Just to the right of that, you've got the symbols, and what I've done is I've worked on the symbol file. I'll show you where to go and find this file and how you can go about creating your own symbol files. So you can see I've got numerous options over there. I've gone and created the 3D symbols so it's easy to view your site in a 3D model like this. You could go and specify your pen color, the scale of the symbol, whether you want to label it or not, and that would be your surveyed name, and whether you want to turn on the height or not. So if you're working with inverts or manholes or culvert information, you might want to turn on your heights. These symbols can be found in the following drawing. And then go to File, Open. There's the path. Users, public documents, knowledge base software, Civil Designer 8.5, survey symbols. Now I need to mention that you've got to be very careful if you want to go and make changes to your surveyed symbols. It may be a good idea to make a backup of this file. I'm going to go and open it. Some of these symbols come standard within Civil Designer. Now if you want to go and create your own symbols, there's a couple of things to take note of. I've gone and highlighted the information I want to share with you at the moment. So you want to draw your new blocks in a scale of millimeters. The color entity should be set to by block. You can use tools, create block, that's in your CAD module to create your own blocks, and then the point symbol will be inserted at the block's defined hook point. And I'll show you how you go about creating that. Taking a look at the actual symbols, if I were to go and right click and select render view, now they do look 2D at the moment, but if we were to go and change the perspective, you can see what I've done over here. So I've either gone and created my own symbols here on the left hand side, or I've downloaded them off the internet. I've used a lot of symbols from our roads module. So here you can see the signboards. And then I've also taken our stormwater lids and included them inside the symbol files. Exiting the render view. I'm going to quickly show you how you can go about creating a very basic symbol. Going to the CAD mode, selecting File, New. Going to my drawing settings, selecting my drawing units as millimeters, making it a scale of 1:1, Cartesian. In order for you to be able to change the pen colors of your symbols, you can go and select the by block option. For explanation purposes, I'm then going to change or set up my views. Here I'll work with the top view. Over here we're working with the front view. And on the right hand side I'm then going to put in an isometric view, making the top view active again. Now where possible, I do suggest that you use this meshed solids option. I'm then going to select cone. I've already put in the correct dimensions. Using the top view, I'm then going to press R. Press enter. Right click and quit. Looking at the isometric, I'm going to make it active and press zoom all. So already we've got the cone. I want to go and give it a base. Going to the top view again, I can go back to draw, mesh solids, and put in a box. Specify where you want this box. I'm using that X where my cursor is positioned, so I press X on the keyboard again and enter. Press escape. Show you what it looks like in a 3D view, so I'm going to right click and select render. Escape. And now we want to save it as a block. I'm going to select the drawing, press Ctrl A, go to Tools, Blocks, Create Block, give it a name, and click on OK. Reading your prompt, it says indicate base point of block. So that's the insertion point where the block would be situated. Again, I'm going to press X on my keyboard to go to the center of our cone and enter. Press escape. Reading the prompt, it says indicate the lower left corner of snip box or press space to skip. We don't want to snip anything, so I go and press space. Press escape. You can then go and save this as a drawing. So you can go to File, Save As, specify where you want to save your drawing. And click on Save. If you go back to your survey symbols, you can go to Tools, Blocks, Block Manager, and then you could go and load that symbol. A very nice function within Civil Designer is if you go to Tools, go to Blocks, Block Stats, it will show you all the blocks associated with the drawing that you've opened, and it also shows you the memory or the size of those blocks. And this is vitally important. You don't want to use a block that has too much memory, because if you're using something like a tree and you've got 100 trees on your site, it's going to make your drawing grow exceptionally bigger. So just something to be careful of. I'm going to go and close my output bar and then close the symbols as well as the demo block drawing. Back in our project, next up, the objective is to go and create a model of our platform. At the same time, I'm also going to use the opportunity to go and put in a dam over here. Let's take a look at this in 3D. Zooming into the platform. From these symbols, you can see that we've got a dam or a swamp in this case. Our objective again is to go and create another surface of this platform so that we can graphically indicate it differently to the ground level, and then go and put in a dam over here. Going to my display settings, I'm going to go and switch off the shading of surface number 1 and then turn off the point symbols for now. I'm going to turn on the survey names. Now, in order to explain a couple of functions here, I have beforehand, with my startup drawing, gone and created a polyline. And we can utilize this polyline in different ways. First of all, what I want to do is change all the points. You'll see there's some surveyed points that don't have names. So all points close to this polyline are going to be renamed as BB. In my case, the bottom of bank. So let me show you that functionality. I go to my terrain mode. I go to model on top, select name points, and then auto name. My point name to be assigned will be bottom of bank or BB. Specify which surface you're working with, as well as the maximum offset from entity, and that is the polyline that is being referred to. At the same time, I want Civil Designer to draw in a break line between those points. Click on OK, click on the polyline, it goes around the polyline and renames those points. In addition to the polyline functionality, I can go back to model and go and create a fence using this polyline. Select the polyline and give it a name. The objective here is to take all the surveyed points within that polyline and copy them onto surface number 2 so that we are able to view that in a 3D format. Click on the green tick, specify what output you want, and there's our fence number 1. Having defined that, you could either go to survey mode, go to editing, and select surface change. Alternatively, in my case, I'm going back to model, polygon, copy, move. I can go and define a new polygon if need be. Right click and finish. Go and specify the current surface and the destination surface. I'm going to copy the points onto destination surface number 2. So this is the new fence we've just defined. Alternatively, we can revert back to the original fence. Click on OK, and you can see that the point colors have been updated. If I were to go and turn on my triangulation, it may be a good idea to go and verify what has been done. So I'm going to go to model, remove invalid lines for surface number 2. And you could also go back to model, validate surface number 2. Right, looking at this swamp or this dam, I want to go and create a graphical representation of it. Before doing so, I'm going to turn on my elevations to get an idea of what heights we want to go and put in the swamp or this dam water level. Switching off my names, switching off my elevations, I go to terrain and I select dam volume. Specify the water level, which surface you're working with, depth increments for your volumes if need be, and then important in this case is to create a CAD output. So I'm asking for the water surface only. This is going to go and create a polyline, and then we're going to convert the polyline into a string so that we can go and shade the string to represent the water surface. Click on OK. Reading my prompt, it says click inside dam, so I go close to a point and left click. There's our capacity curve if you need to go and check the cumulative volumes. Hoping you can see that newly created polyline. If not, I've gone and selected it. I can go to my properties bar and go and change the pen color. Having created that polyline, we can go and create a string from the polyline. So we go to strings, string creation, string from polyline, click on the polyline and give it an identifying name. Let's call it swamp. We'll pick up the elevations from the polyline, or the entities in this case. Click on OK. And it's okay to delete the existing polyline. Having done that, I can go to my display settings, select string settings, click on the swamp option, and then activate the draw shading option. While we are here, I'm going to go to surfaces and then activate the shading for the ground level and the newly created platform surface. Taking a look at what it looks like in 3D, I'm going to switch off our triangulation lines and render view. Using strings has many different powerful functions associated to them. What I want to show you next is how you could go about creating linear road furniture, which would represent, let's say, the road reserve that would be draped onto a ground surface. Going back to my display settings, I'm going to turn off my shading for now. I'm going to deactivate all the surfaces. And I'm just going to activate surface number 4. I'm also going to go and turn off my string settings. Let's go and turn off this polyline. Turning on my surveyed point names and my triangulation information. Taking a closer look at what we want to achieve here. Eventually I'm going to go to the roads mode. I'm going to go to signage, add linear road furniture, and in using this function you need to obtain a polyline, or alternatively you could design a road and then use the display line of the road. In our case we're going to use the polyline function. So pressing escape, we're going to use the draft expert. A couple of things I want to point out. If we zoom in, you'll see I've gone and put in a prefix here of underscore, which can be changed under option settings. I've called my points RR for road reserve, and I've done this in a sequential order. In order to explain the sequential order, let's take a look at the settings we require. So if I go to Tools, Draft Expert, Settings, this is the measurement mode I was referring to of sequential. So it's all in a straight line. In other words, our points are measured in a straight line like that. You do also have the option of side to side and zigzag. If you'd like more detailed information as far as the draft experts is concerned, please do visit our website's F&Q section. I'm going to revert back to sequential. In a similar manner, if you're using this functionality, you need to, as mentioned before, go and put in a prefix at the beginning of the line and a suffix at the end of the line. In that case, the draft expert knows where to start and end a line. If your survey has been done correctly, then it's very easy to use the function and it will save you a huge amount of time. If it's not done correctly, well, then there's a couple of workarounds that I'm going to show you. Let's first of all assume that the survey is done correctly. In that case, we go to Tools, Draft Expert, Coordinate File. I've gone and named this Road Reserve on the left hand side. So it will be that one over there. Click on Open. It's a comma delimited file. So this is very much the same as when we imported the original survey. Click on Next. Go and name your columns and then save settings as default. Click on Finish. There's the name that we import in, and when we import it, we want Civil Designer to go and create a CAD polyline for us. You could go and specify on what CAD layer you would like to save this. Let's call it Road Reserve. Specify things like your pen colors, your line styles, and then just pointing out again we've got a sequential measurement mode. Click on OK and OK again. So you can see we've got an additional red line. I'm going to press ZL on my keyboard. That line is now the polyline. I'm going to turn off my line model and select the polyline. So looking at our properties, we've got the polyline. As mentioned before, the objective is to go and put in road linear furniture that is draped on the ground. In order to do this, you need to activate the surface you want to drape the linear furniture on. So I go back to my display settings and I go and activate surface number 1. Click on OK and turn off my names. And because we're using a roads function here, you go to the roads mode and then just ensure that you are in fact utilizing the correct surface. With that in place, you go to signage, add road linear furniture. Indicate the polyline. So we've got the polyline in place. We're going to use a standard mode. In that case, this linear road furniture will be applied along the full length of this polyline. The furniture, and I'll explain this in more detail shortly, will be a fence furniture. The post distance between each other will be 20 meters. Click on the green tick to update the information and then zoom in into our polyline. Right click and quit. I'm going to select the polyline and delete it. And then I'm going back to my display settings. And this is just to give us a more impressive 3D view. I'm going to turn on the shading for surface number 1. Click on OK. Right click and render view. If we were to zoom in now, you can see that the fence has been applied along the length of our original polyline, and it's using the ground level for elevations. Now you can see the actual length of this fence, and that is why I feel that you could really benefit from using this Draft Expert to save you a huge amount of time. You can imagine how long it would take to manually draw that fence along the entire length of your road reserve. Switching off that shading. I'm also going to turn off the lines for surface number 1 and ensure my lines for surface number 4 road reserve is on. If I go and turn on my triangulation or line model, now what happens if the surveyor didn't use the correct sequence? What happens if, for instance, the surveyor put in a surveyed point there, then he moved further than what they should have, and then reverted back? So sometimes it's not always possible to receive the survey in the correct sequence. So I'm going to show you how you can go about correcting this, still utilizing the strings functionality. So I'm going to turn off our surveyed names. This is still a DTM line or feature line. I'm going to create a string from it. Within creating the string, we can create the correct sequence, sequential sequence, and then we can utilize the Draft Expert again. Going to the terrain mode, I'm going to strings, string creation, and this time a string from point string. I can go and click on my first surveyed point, and let's call it road reserve on the right hand side. Having created the string, you can select it, right click, string operations, string long section. You can see how it goes and travels along the ground line. If need be, you can go and make changes. Close this. In order to ensure that the sequence is correct, you go to strings, string editing, select list. When you list the string, you want to go and create a file output that you can then import in your draft expert. So I'm going to go and specify where I want to go and save this, road reserve right. And then I want to remove what I have in the existing file. So I'm going to switch off append to existing file, click on OK, and then click on yes to the confirmation. Let's take a look at what that file looks like. I'm going to open it up in Excel. And I'll open it as a read only. It is a fixed width file, and I'm going to import from row number 2 because I want to avoid the headings. Click on next. I've already got break lines in the correct spot, but you can go and double click to remove the line. These are all general formats. Click on finish. Right, so there's the list of our strings. It's all in sequence, but when you use the draft expert, you need to ensure that you've got names. So I'm going to go and call this again road reserve on the right hand side, and I'm just going to copy that name throughout the list. Then save it as a CSV file. Now that we know that it's in sequence, you can use the draft expert again. Again, we go to Tools, Draft Expert, go and select Coordinate File. Looking at the file we've just gone and created, click on Open. Go through the process and put it in once again as a 3D polyline. If you want it, you can go and store it on another layer, or you could utilize the same CAD layer. Just check in that your sequence is correct. Zoom last. We've got the polyline. Having done that and having surface 1 active, we can go to roads, signage, add linear road furniture again. Go and specify which furniture you want to use, and then click on the polyline. If you do get this error, it means that Civil Design is selecting the string. So it may be a good idea to go and quit there, go to your display settings, and then just switch off your string. Going through the function again, we go to signage, add linear road furniture, click on the polyline, and then right click and quit. I'll leave the shading off this time. And then just showing you that we've created our fence along the ground surface. Now that you know what is important when you use this draft expert, the possibilities are endless. I'm going to show you how you could go and create a road, a stormwater drain, a railway using this draft expert. Let's say you've got a Lidar survey, and as the surveyor provides you with as-built information, you want to import that information. So he's provided us with the CSV file. Now we're just going to add to the existing survey. So I'm going to go back to survey mode, go to Tools, Draft Expert, and bring in the road alignment file. If you're working on a lot of codes, it may be a good idea to set up your settings and then save them so that at a later stage you can load them. All of these I'm bringing in as a polyline, and I'm specifying a particular layer. Click on OK, and OK again. You can see the huge amount of information that we've just imported. Selecting Zoom Last, and then utilize these lines now to go and create our road. So I go to the roads mode, I go to File, select Road File, and I'm going to work with this road number 1. Generate it as a string road and go and specify the template. You can see it's a dual carriageway. Click on OK, OK again, and then go to Alignment, Regression, Extract Strings. If you're not quite sure what the difference is between extract alignments and extract strings, please visit our website FNQ page for more detail. Click on Extract Strings. We're going to extract a dual carriageway and we're going to use all entities. Select the start point of the stake line and escape because we're using the entire line. Then extract in the stake line from CAD, right click and extract string. And then coordinate every 10 meters. If you want your curves to be smoother, it may be a good idea to use smaller intervals. Pressing enter, looking at the left pivot, you do have the option to interpolate from your DTM surface. Alternatively, you could do this all from entities. Click on OK, select the left pivot, right click, extract string. Same applies to the right hand side. Select it, right click, extract string. Looking at the road left edge, road right edge, left median, which in this case would be the same as our pivot, and then right median. Turn on the road display settings. Using that polyline, we can go and put in additional road furniture. Now, before I go there, I'll need to mention if you go to Tools, Linear Road Furniture Editor, what I've done is I've taken that survey symbol file and I've saved it as a DR4 file. And having done that, I have all the blocks associated with that drawing available to me. If, for instance, you just want to apply a street light, you can go and make the panel blank, and then you could go and specify the block, the post block, as the light. That is what it looks like. And here we just got two right next to each other because we don't have a panel information. I'm going to close that, go back to signage, add linear road furniture, and this time go and select the linear street light. Specify the post distance of 150, click on the green tick, and then go and click on that polyline. Right click and quit. Before we view this in 3D, I'm going to turn off the points, right click, render view. There you can see the newly created road together with the linear road furniture that we created. We've got some additional lines here. These are brake lines and polylines. Using the same principle, you can go and put in stormwater drains, railway lines, and also utilize the auxiliary services functionality. Let's take a look at that. Going back to my Draft Expert, I go to Tools, Draft Expert, coordinate file, and I'm going to import stormwater drain and a railway line at the same time. The railway line I want as polyline, and the top drain I want as a spline. Click on OK, and OK again. Zoom window. Here we've got the drain line, and what I'm going to do there is I'm going to go and create a trapezoid template for the drain line, and I'm going to go and create a railway template for this line. Looking at the trapezoid drain first. Now it may be a good idea beforehand to go to your terrain mode. Terrain on top, select Quick Profile Viewer. Specify which surface you're working with. Click on a start point and an end point. That would then go and give you a long section or profile of what your trapezoid drain should look like. You can go and click on these points and you could take note of the chainage and elevation. Having done that, I'm going to go to the roads mode, go to File, select Road File, go and create a new road. Let's call this Drain, and go and specify a different template. Now we can see the cross section of our drain. Click on OK and then apply it. Like we did before, you go to Alignment, Regression, Extract Strings. We're looking at a single carriageway at this stage. Click on OK. Go to the start of the spline, press Escape, select the stake line from CAD, right click and extract. I'll extract every 5 meters in this case. And then specify the center line elevations from the spline. If you wanted to, you could go and specify different templates where you have culverts. Changing my zoom view, let's go and put in the railway. So again, we go to File, select Road File, add the road, let's call this rail, and specify which template to utilize. Click on OK. Back to Alignment, Regression, Extract Strings. Same thing as before. Select the start of the stake line and escape. Select the CAD line. Right click Extract String. Coordinate every 5 meters. Having done that, I want to put in a train in the center of the railway. I'm going to my display settings. I'm going to go and select Plan Layout. I'm going to switch off all the lines except in the first one, and I'm going to put that in the middle of the railway. Utilizing that line, we can go and put in linear furniture. Going back to signage, add linear road furniture. I'm going to select a train. This train is something that I downloaded off the internet and created a block of. The distance between the train carriageway would be 19.5. We need to change the mode to start end. Click on the center line that we've just put in. Indicate the start as well as the stop position. Right click and quit. I'm going to turn on the shading for surface number 1. Press S for refresh. Let's get an update on what this looks like in rendering. Turning off my lines and my points, and changing my viewports. On the left hand side, we've got the trapezoidal drain. And see, it's a fairly long stretch. And then further down the road, we've got our railway with train. The last functionality I want to show you is how you could go about utilizing the Draft Expert in order to create auxiliary services. So this would essentially be pipes that I'm going to show you next. Before I do so, I'm going to work with my name filter. And I only want to work with codes starting with CULV, and then put in an asterisk for wildcard characters. You can also specify a specific surface if you wanted to. Going to my display settings, I'm going to turn on those point symbols again. Now if the name isn't displayed, the symbol would also not be displayed. So in this case, I'm just want to display the first 5 lines. Right click and render view. Changing my viewport, you can see these surveyed symbols indicating the position of the culverts. So the objective is to go and put in a pipe beneath the road. We go back to the draft expert functionality and import the culvert files. What is important with these culverts is that you import it as a chain line, because essentially we want to use the auxiliary services, and the auxiliary services wouldn't work with polylines. I've saved the settings before, so I can load these settings. Looking at all the culverts, I'm utilizing chain lines, and let's save it on a layer called culvert. Going to zoom last. We've just brought in that line, and looking at the properties, you can see it's a normal CAD line. If I now go to auxiliary services, I can import drawing, specify the destination layer and which layer the links are saved on. Click on OK. If we were to go to the auxiliary service editor, you'll see it's gone and created that additional tab there. To save us time, I'm just going to go and copy the existing information and paste it to our newly created culverts. Closing the auxiliary services editor, going to our display settings, ensuring that the existing service is off, but the new one that we've just created is on. Right click, render view, changing the viewport, you can see we've now gone and created these auxiliary services. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our webinar. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. Until next time, cheers for now. Back to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Cameron. That was really interesting. For a video copy of today's webinar, please log on to our website's webinar page, where we will shortly be posting the link. Furthermore, by around midday on Monday, we will have posted the FAQ videos created from today's session on our website's FAQ library page. If you're new to the Civil Designer software suite, please feel free to enroll for our free 6-part introductory training course, accessible on our website's training page. Managers, this is a great service for onboarding new staff. Once again, thank you very much for allowing the time to join us today. Please follow our company page on LinkedIn if you have not done so already. For more information with regards to our customers, Civil Designer software project showcases, industry news, and new Civil Designer tech tips. Have a great afternoon, weekend when it arrives, and goodbye for now.